Hello and very warm welcome at Amish Cycle 5858. I am Amish Cycle. Foreign news have been reported by American, European, Asian, African, Australian news channels and the news agencies. So please, let's go to the headlines.
Watch Most Trusted, now on Disney Plus every night. Tonight we have breaking news here on this Friday night. The video never seen before. The crucial minutes after a CEO is shot and killed in New York City. The surveillance images showing the moments Luigi Mangione allegedly shot and killed United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. And we now see what played out after. Witnesses looking on, a woman with her coffee, a man from the hotel. How many minutes before anyone helps the CEO? Also breaking the new images tonight, the woman seen being chased amid President Trump's immigration crackdown. She is a U.S. citizen chased by Border Patrol agents. What authorities are saying about this tonight. The pipe bomb suspect who put Washington, D.C. on edge. The surveillance of Pierre Thomas tonight on the alleged motive now revealed why they say he did it. The dangerous deep freeze from Chicago to the Northeast. What's now coming this weekend? Lee Goldberg has the forecast. Tonight, the 911 calls we have never heard before. The Texas families calling for help.
The flooding is very, very bad.
Staffers at Camp Mystic, where 27 girls and counselors died, pleading for help too, and the demands that changes be made. Tonight, new reporting that second deadly U.S. military strike on that boat. More than 40 minutes between the first strike and the second one. And now a source telling ABC News after the initial strike, the survivors holding onto that capsized boat could be seen waving. Tonight, the controversial move by a CDC advisory panel handpicked by Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Newborns and a key vaccination recommendation now changing. Dr. Richard Besser and his reaction tonight. Just in this evening, we've reported on those self-driving cars racing past stopped school buses, picking up children. The stop sign out. There's major news coming in on this tonight. This evening, the World Cup 2026 draw. Who will the U.S. be playing? And in honor of President Trump. We remember one of the world's most celebrated architects tonight, Frank Gehry, and the buildings in the U.S. and all over the world that have drawn millions. Actress Goldie Hawn and her tearful tribute to a friend was moving. And Martha Raddatz takes us to Pearl Harbor, America Strong. From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir. Good evening. We do begin tonight with the breaking news, the chilling new video never.
Prince Harry, always making news, always stepping out there, sometimes stepping in it by some estimations. He was making a cameo appearance on Late Night in a lighthearted skit about America's obsession with princes and Christmas movies, and then it slid into criticism of President Trump. Watch.
What are you doing here?
I generally thought this was the audition for the Gingerbread Prince Saves Christmas in Nebraska.
Want to be in one of those movies?
Well, you Americans are obsessed with Christmas movies, and you're clearly obsessed with royalty, so why not?
I wouldn't say we're obsessed with royalty.
Really? I heard you elected a king.
That's a fair point. No, he's got a point.
Fox and Friends first co-host Carly Shimkus joins me now, and you see her on Fox and Friends every morning and everywhere. Hi, Carly.
Hey, Martha.
Great to see you.
Good to see you too.
You know, I actually watched the top of this. I thought it was kind of funny, and then it has to go there.
It's gotta go there,
It has to go there with all the Trump trashing,
and negativity.
Just want to take a break sometimes from it. Yeah.
And I guess my overall take on this is it is difficult to take him seriously when he left the royal family in an effort to reduce the media attention surrounding him and his wife Meghan Markle. And then he continuously voluntarily makes these media appearances that put him back in the spotlight. But when he made that comment about the president, it did get me to thinking about the state visits that President Trump took to the UK in September. And I know you know that very well because you were there covering it. And during the state dinner, King Charles said, "I can't help but wonder what our ancestors would think about the friendship that we have now, our ancestors from 1776, what they would be thinking now." And it was a really nice and historic moment between President Trump and Harry's father. And then you think about that and then watch his late night appearance, and it really just shows the clear divide between him and his family. And I also think it's a little bit sad.
Yeah, it's a great point because you look at that special relationship and it seems like he wants to torpedo stuff all the time. And then he says, on the other hand, that he wants to repair things with his family, but then he goes and, sends a salvo
This can't
across
make
the
it
Atlantic
any easier
Ocean,
to do that.
poking a hole in that very successful meeting between King Charles and President Trump just a few days ago. It also steps on all the Christmas events that the royal family is doing right now. So, it's so petty.
Yeah.
Like, they love to, shoot across each other's PR and try to squash each other out. It's like, don't you have enough?
I know.
Don't you have enough?
On this Friday night, the world of sports and politics collide. The Prime Minister and the American President's meeting after the World Cup draw, and which countries Canada will face when it hosts the Summer Soccer Tournament. Mega merger. Netflix is buying Warner Brothers.
This is only the third largest such deal in the history of the entertainment industry.
What it means for viewers and why Canadian entertainment producers are worried. Vaccine U-turn. The new recommendations from U.S. health officials on vaccinating babies against hepatitis B.
It does not make sense.
The reaction from frontline physicians. Plus, popular premiers. A new poll reveals Canada's most and least favorite provincial leaders.
Global National. Reporting tonight, Jeff Semple.
Okay, let's see which team will be drawn by Mr. Mark Carney. Oh, Canada! Oh, congratulations!
The Prime Minister taking part in the FIFA World Cup draw in Washington as the pools for the competition were largely decided, revealing which countries Canada will face at next summer's soccer tournament. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Canada, the U.S., and Mexico are co-hosting the World Cup, and for many Canadians, the focus on today's FIFA ceremony was split between our national soccer team and the political action on the sidelines. Prime Minister Mark Carney and U.S. President Donald Trump held their first private meeting.
Hello and a very good morning. It's 8 o'clock. This is Mornings with Jones and Melbourne. I'm Anna.
I'm Kamali. Thanks for starting your day with us. Here's how we're looking.
England, the 1966 champions. We find out who the home nation's first opponents will be in the 2026 World Cup.
And we were in Glasgow to capture the joy of the Tartan Army as they won an historic sporting moment. Wicket of Mitchell Stark on day 3 of the second Ashes Test as Australia continue to frustrate the tourists. devices to try and get the time and picture announced a little bit later on. Jack is here with the details. Morning.
Always free, always entertaining.
Tonight, at least 16 homes destroyed by bushfires on the New South Wales central and mid-north coasts as temperatures soar across the state.
A devastating day for people that have lost homes, to people who are in fire ban or emergency areas.
A woman's body found in a car outside a New South Wales police station days after she died. Netflix to buy Warner Brothers film and streaming businesses for $108 billion. And Australia in a commanding position on day 3 of the pink ball ashes test at the Gabba. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Fiona Willan. A dozen homes have been lost on the New South Wales central coast and more in the state's mid-north in a day of extreme fire danger. A blaze in bushland at Coolewong destroyed some homes before firefighters could get there, with crews battling high temperatures and strong winds to save others. More than 70 fires are still burning across the state as the weather eases slightly.
Idyllic waterfront.
The headline news this hour. India temporarily rolls back a newly implemented pilot rest policy after the nation's largest airline, Indigo, cancels more than 1,000 flights since yesterday. The move crippling air travel during the high season. India's aviation ministry accuses Indigo of mismanagement and says it will launch a probe into the crisis.
We have observed this only in Indigo. So we have established a committee which will inquire into all this so that they can establish where things went wrong and who did it wrong. And we are going to take necessary action on that also.
Sri Lanka has announced a major compensation plan after Cyclone Ditwa devastated the country. More than 600 people are dead, with 2 million affected. Survivors will be offered up to $33,000 to rebuild, while families of the dead or disabled will get around $3,000. Sri Lanka is seeking an extra $200 million from the IMF as more rain threatens fresh landslides. Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto says that the government has moved quickly to respond to floods and landslides and have killed more than 880 people. Large-scale deployments of personnel and air assets are supporting rescue efforts, especially in Aceh. 800,000 people have been displaced. Rescue teams are struggling to reach some cut-off areas, with reports of residents looting to survive. Weather officials or other weather authorities have warned of heavy rainfall today. And that is the latest from the CNN newsroom.
Africa News. The news.
Authorities in Kenya have released a damning report from the parliamentary inquiry accusing the British Army's training unit in the country of serious human rights violations, environmental damage, and misconduct spanning decades. The investigation, conducted by the Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations Committee, documented repeated incidents of sexual abuse, including rape and assault, often followed by abandonment of children fathered by soldiers. Beyond sexual violence, the report also holds back to grateful for mental condition, negative ordinance, and improper over findings, and saying it stands ready to investigate new allegations once evidence is provided according to its statement. Abdi Awal, says his dream of reaching the US has survived a brutal journey across Africa, months of torture by smugglers and detention in Libya. Awal is among 165 Somalis recently repatriated after enduring harrowing conditions while attempting to reach Europe. My long-term dream since childhood has been to live in the US, but when Trump came to power, my hope of going there was dashed because he hates foreigners. I still hold on to the hope of going to the US, and I believe that the captures filmed him being beaten to demand ransom from his family. They threatened me and instructed me to send the money. A poor woman, I couldn't afford the ransom, so I reached out to all Somalis begging for help. Thankfully responded, and my son was released after we paid $17,000. After his release, Awal attempted to continue towards Mediterranean coast, but the journey deteriorated further. The group walked more than 2 weeks through the desert, facing starvation before being detained near Tripoli. They spent 3 months in various detention centers before finally being flown home in November.
One World Alliance member Royal Air Maroc is to launch Africa's Kanker will be operating from the 7th of June with the opening of the FIFA World Cup. The carrier says the new service must be on ahead of the tournament, which gets underway on the 11th of June and is co-hosted by the United States, Mexico and Canada. It also represents a major step forward for the national airline in expanding its long-haul network in North America. It already has routes to New York, Washington, Miami, Montreal and Toronto. The very early morning departure has a Europe. It's part of the airline's broader strategy to consolidate its position as a global air and tourism hub in preparation for the 2030 World Cup, co-hosted by nearby Spain and Portugal. Royal Air Maroc will operate the LA service with Boeing 787s. Tickets go on sale from the 4th of December.
Welcome back, you're watching Daybreak. My name is Peter O'Brien. Here are the headlines. Donald Trump makes his complaints about Europe official in a new national security strategy, saying the continent faces civilizational erasure. It's a blockbuster deal for the studios that have produced countless of them. Netflix agrees to buy Warner Brothers Discovery's TV, film and streaming assets. And we'll be joined on the program by one of the world's top scientists working on ME, a disease that's been misunderstood for a long time.
This is DW News, live from Berlin. The death toll climbs in Indonesia as it deals with the aftermath of flooding and landslides.
Once you step into this slippery mud is when you fully understand how dangerous these landslides are.
Our correspondent reports on the devastation caused by last week's storms, as forecasters warn more heavy rain is on the way. Also,
Thank you for watching Ahmed Shakil 5858. I am Ahmed Shakil. I hope you will visit again. Have a good life. Bye bye.